I came to Svalbard because I want to be polar researcher later after my studies.
For those who don't know, it's an island just quite far north. 78 degrees is where the city is.
But somehow there are a lot of reasons to come to this place in the middle of nowhere.
Thought, well, probably there's people that ski, so I would bring my skis. I heard that he was coming to buy a scooter and drive around your scooter.
Apart from skiing, snow sports in general, alpinism, it's a very good hotspot for science.
Svalbard is lying in the midst of the climate change.
We are basically at the heart of Arctic amplification.
Svalbard warms 7 times faster than the global average. That's why Svalbard is very important for scientific research. I wanted to study climate change. That's why I chose to come here.
I knew about UNIS, but I didn't really think about it. Like I thought, oh, okay, that's cool, but dark, cold, that's nothing for me. And then I realized that I really liked ocean and atmospheric dynamics and ice and snow in general. And then I slowly started to like the idea of going here and learning about those courses.
So I'm taking 2 courses along with the rest of the class. Both are part of the Arctic Geophysics track. The motivation to take this course was to learn more about a very important and vast part of our cryosphere.
Here's the perfect place to learn about polar research and the polar climate in general.
I mean, which place is better than the Arctic to study the Arctic?
I got super excited because it all looks great. I'm a big fan of snow, so yeah, I was like, woohoo, this looks so cool. And I saw the pictures of the fieldwork and like, wow.
Also, I really wanted to learn about fieldwork in the Arctic.
I mean, a lot of people here came for the fieldwork because everyone was so eager to just go outside and measure, like going on the snow, on the glacier.
I mean, the big highlight of the courses are obviously the fieldworks.
For the fieldwork we went to Tellbreen. It's a small glacier just a bit east of Longyearbyen. My task was the ice GPR. It's a device that is dragged behind a snow scooter and it pings, basically it sends a radar signal down to the ground, is bounced back by any features. This allows us to measure things that we otherwise would not be able to see.
We chose to measure the snow depth using the GPRs. Well, I had no idea what a ground penetrating radar was before, but I thought, oh, scootering over Glacier, that sounds fun, let's go.
We were the group tasked with doing snow and avalanche topic, which is not very clearly defined. We were interested in avalanches mainly. So we ended up doing a comparison between different stability tests and also digging some just full-on snow pits and then compare them to the avalanche forecast they have here in Svalbard.
I was in the laser group. Our kind of task was to measure the elevation change on Tellbreen.
The task of our group on the glacier was to measure the weather there. Because then, when you have the weather conditions on the glacier, you can relate them to what happened and then help the other groups figure out what their measurements were.
My job was, I was in a group that was measuring the surface mass balance of the glacier. Basically, how much the glacier loses mass during 1 year. So our group work is pretty straightforward. We just measure the height of the stakes and dig snow pits and measure snow densities. But the snow pits will be a lot of work. So in that sense, we have a lot to do.
We had a lot of instruments, and so it was a lot of fun at the beginning of the fieldwork, doing the preparation, just seeing what we had and what we could do with them afterwards.
What do you use as equipment?
Oh, let me show you. Come on. Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Precision balance.
Wow.
Yeah, that's very good equipment. Plastic bag. And even cooking thermometer. Very important. At the price it costs, you need to take care.
That's the GPR radar. They have the monitor, the antenna, and the control unit. That's a big machine.
We're marking our
boxes so that we don't steal them. Nobody can steal them.
Well, first we thought a smiley, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, that doesn't look like a smiley.
so maybe we make just a G.
These are our geo-referencing sticks for the laser scanning. We just put them in the area in the scanning field of view, and they have this reflective tape here so that we can see them in the scan laser. I like those sticks. We need to just walk around, and I think the hardest part is the measuring the GPS. It needs 1 hour.
For each stick?
Yeah. But we're not sure if we put every stick. Yeah. I remember that I was super excited. I prepared or tried to prepare really well on the fieldwork and was like, oh okay, that's our main task, and yeah, depending on weather and situations we can do this additional task or this one, and what do we need? Okay, here's a list, we need that and that and that tomorrow. Yeah, I'm so ready.
I just made foam for transporting the sensitive measurements. How do you say technology? Sensors? Yeah, the sensors. To transport them, we need to put them in boxes, and we need to like secure them with foam. So we just like cut with a knife through the foam. Yeah, we did that. I remember being in the class and like surrounded by other students that, I mean, everybody wanted to go out, so you can feel it like in the ambience, like, are we gonna do something today or not? Are we gonna do something?
Super excited for the fieldwork. Tomorrow we go to Tellbreen.
You know what? Tomorrow will be the first day after 2 months where I will see the sun again, hopefully. So please, no snow tomorrow.
We were all so eager to finally go out, but at the same time there were a lot of questions because everyone looked at the weather forecast the day before and it was not looking good. Are we going to go out? Are we going to do what we want to do? Or are we just going to be disappointed on the first day?
I'm so excited. I just get tired.
It's now already not so good visibility, I think, compared to this morning. Yeah, I think it's gonna be maybe some difficulty getting back with everybody. I think it will be a whiteout, and it may take some more careful. Everybody needs to be a little bit more careful about going back. I think that's the greatest danger, that we have bad visibility and maybe one person doesn't see the track and then we lost somebody. But I don't think that's gonna happen today.
We can't see it, but
there's too much snow though, which I would say is a good thing, but in this case snow. How is it?
Do you think we'll be able to do anything today?
No.
Yeah. No?
We maybe look around a bit, but not actually see anything.
We made it, but we have to go back soon. It's starting to snow. It is a problem if we can't see it.
When we first arrived on the glacier, the feelings were a bit mixed because on the first hand we were really glad to finally be on the glacier and see the glacier and be outside. But on the other hand, we saw the weather and the fact that it was getting worse and worse. We knew that because of the weather, the day was not going to be as expected. But still, we were really glad to be on the glacier and just sat down with everyone and took our first lunch break there.
I have a mushroom potato soup.
Some lasagna.
Oh. Is it warm?
My body heat.
I made my own tomat. The idea was from Pasi actually. You make a couscous and you just put lots of vegetables in it and then hot water. Then you got the warm meal.
Pasta and emergency bacon.
Emergency bacon.
Polar bread. Do you have just cheese? I have like peasant polar bread.
My main combination is just like peanut butter, chocolate spread, banana.
And then you just stack them in the thing? I really had to do that.
Some tea. Very warm. That's good.
There's like no visibility. It's really bad. It's snowing and some fog, but yeah.
It was still bad when we just arrived. After lunch, it's even worse. But hope it will be. I hope it will be better like tomorrow. Well, we still have time to walk, so we'll see. But if it's like that for like 8 days, it will be quite disappointing.
So the weather is clearly worsening already. Bit ahead of schedule, really. So that's definitely one warning sign. I do not want anyone to be driving around this glacier today in bad visibility.
Because of the conditions, the teachers had to say, "No, we can't do anything today." It was our first day on the glacier. There was still a lot of safety concerns.
Safety in the Arctic is obviously a very important consideration when you're conducting fieldwork, because we are in a very remote location, so you sort of have to be a lot more self-sufficient than you would have to be elsewhere. But I would say the biggest challenge that we had was visibility and whiteouts. So, of course, when you have a snowfall or a cloud on top of a glacier, everything looks white.
That was the first time we went to Tellbreen, so we didn't know the surroundings. That was the problem. Like, in bad visibility, we can't go if we don't know where we are going.
If the visibility is 20 meters, that is unsafe. And especially when you compound it, for example, with meltwater channels, which maybe are covered by snow, you could potentially fall in. And even though we are trained in crevasse rescue, this is a situation that you don't want to reach or be in.
We just set up a few weather instruments on the glacier, but not as many as what we wanted to. And then we had to come back because we couldn't do anything more. So we just came back with the hope that the next day would be better. But unfortunately, this is not what happened as well.
I'm angry because it's the other day of Fieldwork that we are not outside.
I think for me the morale, and not only for me but for quite some others, it was dropping throughout the fieldwork period, because we started off really excited about the fieldwork, and then we got there, and the first day it was just be there and eat lunch and return, because it was too bad conditions to really do much. And then the second day it was kind of the same, and then the third day it was kind of the same, and then eventually this sort of starts to wear on you, because it's like, oh man, I'm going to this glacier and I'm not even sampling anything.
In the beginning I was a bit frustrated, because I then knew that, for example, the additional tasks weren't possible anymore by time. And I think at some point when we didn't measure, I was like, okay, I hope we will be able to measure at some point.
People try to rethink about the way to use their time, so people would just do some things around UNIS, and we would like have some free time or look at the program which we're about to use to figure out the signal. So we had we could definitely use our time for other stuff, but still was a little bit sad sometimes and frustrating.
So what are you guys doing then today?
Digging pits around town because we can't go to the glacier, and
We have no data to analyze anyway right now, so...
find data in town.
Best case scenario is I motivate Elo to go out with the laser and measure the mountain on the other side of the fjord, and measure the geoposition and have some fancy data for tomorrow, so we are not absolutely bored. If I have data, I can process them, and then I have to do something. If not, I would have a very boring day.
Even on the days when we were able to go on the glacier with bad weather, the conditions made it so everything was way more difficult to do.
So we definitely realized that the weather can make your fieldwork much more tricky.
The LiDAR works like that we send out a laser pulse, and we wait for it to be back reflected and detect it again. And when we have heavy snowfall, we can imagine that the laser will reflect within the snowflakes and we get a lot of scatter, so the signal is kind of useless then.
There's a lot of wind, there's a lot of wind drift. Could be better weather-wise, but yeah. All for science, I guess.
doing snow pits in bad weather is one thing. It does work, even though when we had like lots of snow drifting into your pit and accumulating in there, that was quite annoying, but it was manageable.
Of course, if it's really windy, then it blows the snow all the time in the pit. If you have to operate with hands and it's really windy and cold, it's hard.
In bad weather, you just couldn't go to the places we actually wanted to. So snow pits just right in the center line of the glacier is the only thing we could do, and it's not the most interesting thing.
It felt quite frustrating to just go there, try to set everything up, and then realizing, okay, the weather is turning bad. We just can do maybe one little thing, or not even anything at all, and we have to return already. You know, you put on the whole suit, you pack everything. It's quite a lot of work to just go there at all.
That was draining a lot of energy, I find, too. If you just like have all the drives, that it's a bit exhausting, especially bad weather, and then you're there and like, okay, we can't really do much. Let's eat something, walk a bit around, and then go home.
And then this day we drive in with perfect sunrise, or perfect sunlight. That was after, what was it, 3rd, 4th, 5th day, something like that?
I'm so happy, there's the sun, yay!
I could look at this all day, every day, the rest of the night.
The weather was yesterday a bit cold, a bit low, high participation. Today it is still very cold, colder than before, but now it is sunny. I saw the sun. I think I stopped the whole column of the snowmobiles just because I wanted to see the sun. So I'm a bit sorry for everybody, but not really, no. I really enjoyed the sun.
When we came up to the glacier, there was like clouds below us, so we could see this sea of clouds with some mountains arising from it.
That's better to be on the glacier when you can see the glacier, actually.
Horrible. Very bad. Very bad. No snow, no wind. It's so boring. The weather mountains. It'd be worse.
It's a bit colder, actually. But it's fine.
This is the worst day of my life. Had a lot of sun, almost got sunburned.
Yes.
It was really dangerous. After 2 months without the sun, taking sun rays again. Almost died.
Hey, at the weather forecast, there's some gnarly clouds out there, some big barrels, some waves, some excitement, and some snow. So get this papa started, because we're gonna measure something.
I think it's going to be good. It's really nice. I've seen it a couple times, but this is definitely the most, one of the better views I've had so far. I'm really excited. It's a little cold, colder than we've had, but still really beautiful. So yeah, I'm excited.
I'm so happy. It's good visibility and we will get a lot of measurements today.
Yeah, it will be a long day on Tellbreen, maybe on Blekumbreen. Who knows?
Now we can actually see where we're going, and I'm really excited. That was like the best day where we measured the most data. So we just drove over the whole glacier, over Tellbreen and Blekumbreen. Then we just got everything we really wanted. So you only really need one good day to get the data you need.
We activate the laser!
Woo! It was amazing. Yeah, we were finally able to do it, and we were so excited, like, oh my god, let's start. So we went up this small hill and set up everything. My job was kind of to warm the batteries while doing that. So I sat in this big Javenduk and I had the battery inside warming with my body heat, and I had brought my knitting, so I just sat there. I was like knitting. Sometimes they brought me some sweets. It was really nice. I think really that was the best, sitting there with my sweets, my knitting on the Javenduk and being like, wow, what a nice view, what a life. I am finally here.
What are you doing today?
Dig some pits. What did we do yesterday? Dig some pits. Day before?
Oh, hungry.
Some pits.
What are we gonna do tomorrow?
Dig some pits.
We only had one day, single day, where we had great weather and we were actually allowed to just go wherever we deemed snow pit to be useful for us. There was very much fun to analyze the snow pits there, and you can immediately see your results kind of.
Yeah. It's not the same one we were last time actually.
They are like always digging a bit to make stability test. They are all digging and we don't need four-person shovels. I think I will start to take some notes. If you want to know how the stability of a weak layer is, you can test it with different tests. One of those is the ECT test, another one is the PSD test. So ECT is the extent column test and the PSD is the propagation saw test. And yeah, if you wait a minute, then you could see actually how this all works.
So, tapping on the top. First, you do 10 taps from the wrist, then 10 taps from the elbow, 10 taps from the shoulder. If at any point you see basically a failure in a weak layer, then you note that down. You could then also, sometimes you get a failure and a propagation, which means that the fracture moves all the way across the column. Sometimes that happens on the same tap. Sometimes you get a failure first, and then a few taps later you get a propagation.
You can extend.
And now we have a failure and propagation about 30 centimeters down, but I'll let them kind of take the exact measurement. I mean, it's relatively stable because now it was on the 21st tap?
21st tap.
21st tap, which means we're already in full shoulder territory, which is quite a lot of load. It means it's not fully stable, so you could have potential for an avalanche, but it's pretty stable, especially on this slope angle. Right? Would you agree?
I agree.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It looks like they're just tapping on the snow, like brutal, but actually it's not. It's real science, and that's what is amazing. Yeah, first time I see that in my life.
And between those two, between the cutting length until you eventually have a failure of that layer, and between the number of taps you need on the column test, we found that there was some correlation, not surprisingly, but we could find like a statistically significant correlation. Then the snow pits, we compared some different aspects, and there we found that like how we would expect, there was more snow on the west-facing aspect because the predominant direction is east, so you have more deposition on west-facing aspects. One thing we in general found was lots of spatial variability, even within one single snow pit.
What do you have to say about the ice layers?
That they're pretty cool, and there's 3 of them. So here, that's one.
Someone shouts.
And then this one. And then this one. And you can feel it's pretty hard. If there's an ice layer, the snow is melted and refreezed again. Or like infiltrated through the snowpack. But I'm not the expert here. I don't know, I just think it's cool. It was very interesting to see that the snow depth was actually quite uniform of the 2 glaciers. It shows that the snowfall is not so much influenced by the wind distribution. I mean, this was a little bit thicker in the upper parts, and especially the meltwater channels you could really see as a very big increase in snow depth. which you could also see during our driving around the glacier. You could just see on the monitor, you could like see, oh, we're riding over a meltwater channel right now, so don't step off because maybe you're gonna fall through this.
We discovered a little bit about the glacier hydrology because we were able to find subglacial conduits. So these are channels that are existing in the ice or under the ice, which are, as I said, not visible to the eye. And this tells you a little bit of how water flows within the glacier, which can be a bit important if you are considering glaciers as, for example, water resources, or just in general drainage of glaciers for maybe contributions to sea level rise. I have to say that GPR data is quite hard to interpret. I think you need a lot of years of looking at GPR data before you can say something with certainty.
I mean, there's probably some caution to be had with our data, at least with some of the analysis and stuff. Like it's not much different to a peer-reviewed paper. It's just students doing stuff, so the potential sources of error.
We found out that the density. No, but I have to calculate the volume of the cylinder first before I can know the density. But from yesterday, from the B4 from Blekumbreen, the density is. No, that's yeah. From the day before yesterday, from T4, we had densities around 300 kilograms per cubic meter. I think 300 is more or less the same like last year. But there was also, the avalanche people calculated 260 at T5. That's a bit less than expected.
Okay.
Then we had a one layer where it was 500 kilograms per cubic meter. That's very dense. We have to compare with the previous years before I can say something.
We learned that the glacier is melting. Overall, we can see that the ice decreases, and it's a rapid change. It's like, depending on the glacier, it's between 1 and 2 meters per year. The total mass loss was about 3 million cubic meters water equivalent, which is like 3 megatons of mass.
Yeah, I am worried because we have seen that during the 10 years the glacier melt the speed has increased every year. So it like within next 20-30 years the glacier might be gone. Tellbreen might be gone.
Glaciers are a very hard thing to observe because every change occurs in a really long time. As such, the measurements that we've taken on Tellbreen are not just like some activities for students, but they're also really important for science.
If you want to have interesting results, you need timescales of at least 1 year and probably even more.
Our data exists within a very broad data set from previous years and following years, which can then be used to draw a timeline of Tellbreen.
When we compare the previous reports, we can see that the melting rate has accelerated during the period we have studied, for example, Tellbreen and Blekumbreen.
Just knowing about one glacier is maybe a little bit insignificant, but what you can learn about that glacier and apply to other glaciers, then it starts to become important.
If we make measurements on Tellbreen, we can compare those results to other glaciers.
Well, it's just one glacier, but you cannot measure every glacier. Then you will have to hire the whole population of the Earth. But if we can learn from one glacier, then we can say something about other glaciers without having to be there and measure them.
We got very unlucky with the weather, but the group tasked with measuring the weather in particular, we had really bad luck. We had problems with our measurement devices because a lot of them failed to store the data, and a few stations that we had on Tellbreen literally froze. There were formations of ice on it, which then made the sensors fail to record anything, basically. Then it's a little sad to see that everything that we've done was almost for nothing because we couldn't gather the data that we were supposed to gather. But just the loss of any data is something that can happen, especially in the Arctic where conditions are way harsher than everywhere else. This is just a learning experience, just knowing that this is the kind of stuff that can happen.
The weather has been dodgy, and it's been not optimal, but also, on the other hand, one of your learning goals is to learn how to carry out field research, and as I said, you have to adapt to the conditions. So now you have had conditions that have forced us to adapt, which is good.
The most I learned from the fieldwork is patience and to adapt to the situation.
So you have to learn to improvise, and I think this is a super important skill to practice, and you can only do it through experience. There's no amount of book reading that is going to prepare you for issues out in the field, and you just have to learn how to solve them in the best way you can.
If everything goes according to plan, it's almost boring, you know.
We get to go outside and not stay in the classrooms. And in Svalbard, Arctic nature is your classroom.
This was the most amazing part about the course, that we just get to go outside in this Arctic, which is just beautiful and amazing to work in.
These are even bigger.
What you saw was some depth pour, I believe, from the bottom layer of this snow pit due to the temperature gradient and upward moisture transport. The crystals can grow at the base of the snowpack, creating these bigger forms, as opposed to everything else is much smaller. I think the depth pour layer is something very unstable, and usually it's at the bottom of the snowpack, so we don't really have to worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have so much snow, you can still affect it.
Use it.
There's no cohesion at all. It's just like crumbles apart if you touch it.
Yeah.
So it's always a weak layer. And if it's down deep enough, you don't have to worry about it. But if it's higher up, it can be an issue for avalanches.
But you see, this snow is much more cohesive. This is closer to the surface, more like precipitation.
It's always there.
It's very pretty, yeah. When it's well developed, it's very pretty and very dangerous.
The fact that it's just in the snow with people are just mostly friends, you just feel like a child again.
It's avalanche.
I'm a weak player.
on a slow time scale.
Like work.
Yeah. It was used in an important scientific experiment.
Yeah.
On snow dynamics.
How much snow a person can survive?
Yeah.
The snow pressure.
Yeah. Exactly.
Balance. On the body. So I think it's just first I don't lose the wind.
The best moment was that when we had dug the snow pit, one of the snow pits, and it was really windy. Then we just went inside the snow pit and relaxed there, while the wind was blowing all over the place.
And just like playing around and making the handstands in the snow and stuff like that, or like doing a little dance. So I think I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. I take one of the small shells.
Building a throne.
It's the queen of Svalbard.
The queen.
Yeah.
Fieldwork?
Yeah.
It's always fun. You do science just for fun.
It's not only like people you cooperate with, it's actually your friends that you do stuff with, so you can always, there's always moments where you can just have fun.
Yeah, they're coming back.
I think you need to try with someone more coordinated.
I really like the group. The fooling around and the people interacting with each other, I really like that. I always felt completely comfortable around everybody.
We have a snowball fight.
Oh, we bow.
What is happening? Why is everyone
that was a good
snowball?
shot! Tit wards.
This one will be a tie.
Oh, I intercepted it!
Yeah, you have people with similar interests, and they're all thrown into this very different environment from home, so everyone is a bit in the same situation. We're just in the here and now and in this together, which is definitely bonding, and
group dynamics was really great in that sense, that we did our work, but we could also have fun and humor within a group. That was really cool.
I think everyone was looking out for each other and checking on, like, hey, are you warm enough? Do you need a snack? Did you eat something? And so on. And yeah, I think that's the great thing about our class.
One of the things about this group is that everyone seems to be enjoying themselves. I don't see sour faces, which sometimes happens, but really good, really good.
I'm so happy that I did that, because these courses are really amazing, I think. And just the whole, I mean, the island, the student community here is super tight and welcoming. We have been doing so many amazing things, and we have had such great experiences. And I think after all, looking back on it, it's amazing and great, but it's also coming to an end. I feel like we had a great chapter and we're like ending it now.
We're going to live with a lot of memories and amazing friends that we made here. And this is definitely something that is going to stay with me for a long time.
What can I say? Thank you for an incredible semester and memories that will last forever.